Jim here. So I'm just giving an update on what's going on with the bees today. Um, they're doing orientation. Looks like probably all of them are doing orientation. So when we see orientation after a month and a half after we've caught a swarm or did a split, then the odds are good that you got a queen. Or she stayed, or she survived, or something like that. And so this hive on the end, that was the first swarm that I caught in around first week of April, and I fed them a lot initially to try to help build up their comb, to help get get their hive established and so that they can grow quickly. But that was a mistake. Because it was spring, lots of flowers out everywhere, I should have not have fed them. I spoiled them, and so what happened is they became dependent on the jars of syrup, and there wasn't enough instinctual foragers to bring in the pollen and the nectar. And so, but the queen, she was ordered to just keep laying massively, and so the hive filled up with bees fairly quickly over a couple of months, and about 6 weeks actually. And so, but I had taken away the syrup about 3 weeks earlier, and they were still in that quick growth period. But what they ended up doing was consuming all the stored honey that they made into honey from the syrup that I made, and the hive just started killing each other. Not enough resources in here, sorry, we have to kill each other. And it just went on for a month, if not more. So I did a split, and the split that I made, there was a queen, so they did make a queen cell, and that queen did come back. She was a canola queen. But I left that hive really weak. I decided not to do any more feeding. I felt like I created a monster hive, right, by feeding when they should have been out foraging, right? And I'm just gonna sit here, eat my syrup chips. I'm not gonna go out and do anything. And I made a lazy hive, and it almost killed that. So the swarm the split that I did, I let that one die out. I decided not to reinforce it with cat brood and make it stronger. I just decided, because I have too many hives, and when we're a backyard beekeeper, typically the limit is 3 in the city. That's the regulation. And for me to have 6 hives, I was getting stung just random places in my property, because the competition for food was so intense that it made the girls out there that were foraging more aggressive towards anything, even each other out there foraging. So right now I have 5 hives, and I haven't seen any more swarming activity like going into my baited nukes. No, nothing like that. So what I ended up doing was I started to feed all of them again, because there are so many wasps and other natural bugs that feed on nectar that the bees weren't getting they weren't able to find enough food for the amount of hives that I have. And so I decided to go ahead and start feeding them so they can build up enough in their pantry and their reserves that'll make them less aggressive towards me when I'm out and about in the yard. Now there's 2 hives. So my original hive the swarm that I caught last year, and then I did a split from that. I haven't fed those at all this year. And so I'm only feeding the swarms that I caught. So these are the 3 swarms that I caught this year, and I'm only feeding those. And the only reason why I'm doing that is because when I went in there about 4 days ago. They were really low on resources, and because the competition is so intense with the wasps and the other bugs are actually consuming most of the nectar. I'm out there. I'm seeing how many bees are in this big flower and how many other bugs, and there was only maybe only one bee, if any, and the rest of them are other bugs, wasps and hornets, and because they also feed on nectar. They're predators. Hornets and wasps, they're predators, but they also rely on sugars from flowers. They're pollinators, inadvertently. And so, what, girl? You're inspecting? Inspector Clouseau bee? And so what I went and did yesterday is I went and bought some wasp traps, because I really want to bring down that population of wasps in the area. I got stung twice by a wasp. They built a nest in between my raspberries. I was just walking through. Within a 3-day, 4-day period, I got stung twice. I didn't even know there was a nest there. But I did see a lot of wasps, but I see a lot of wasps anyway, everywhere I go. They're everywhere. So I got a couple wasp traps that I set out last night, and so I'm just going to try to bring that wasp population down. And I removed a watering hole that they were drinking from, so maybe they'll stay more isolated to wherever their nests are, looking for water, instead of coming here. And so I keep my water right here for my bees. Now I do get wasps that come into this to get water, but most of the activity is from my bees. Mostly what comes in here and gets water is bees, because the bees don't like the wasps around where they're at, so they'll kind of irritate the wasps when the wasps come around, and so it's kind of like a battle that happens at the water hole, and so they'll and there's one got it. So what they do is they go into that foam. There's those floater foams, for water. They're designed for water, really tight polymers so that they don't leak microplastics. So I just took one of those long foams and I cut it in little strips, and I put it on that, because it floats, so it doesn't displace the water like rocks and marbles or whatever. And so not only that, but it reduces evaporation. And the bees, they just go right in between the foam, and they don't have a problem. I got that metal screen there to keep the foam from moving around and pinching off the girls and when they're down there drinking. Because when they get their head down there, they can't see nothing. I can take tweezers and just pick them right up, right? They can't see. Their head's down in the water. I've caught many wasps that way. They get their heads down there drinking. I got my little tweezers, and I'll just get a wasp by the butt, pinch it out. And there's a good navigation going on right there. I just fed those first two right there. I just gave them some sugar water. Sugar syrup. It's still up there? Nothing there. Nothing, honey. Excuse me, girls. Coming through. There you go. And so, I got this girl, she's really investigating this phone, like, what is this thing? She's like all over this phone. So, there you go. And so, I have 5 really healthy hives, and I think 6 is too many. 5 is probably too many. I think that if we're going to have a backyard apiary, just simple beekeepers, just to pollinate our area, stuff like that. We're not really interested in selling honey. Not really interested in making it like a business, because ready to have a business, you need some land. You need to be able to spread that out, because when we have too many beehives, when we got homes all around us, like 30, 40 feet away all around us, that could cause a problem, and children getting stung, and because they'll go to picnic areas and swarm the picnic areas. If there are people eating outside, barbecuing, they'll swarm those areas wherever they smell something sweet, like pops and other sugary items. Yeah, that can cause a problem in the community. So the regulation here is a limit of 3 hives, permanent hives. You can have like up and down, you know, when you're making splits or something, and you know, but yeah, and so if I end up with 3 hives, I'm fine with that. Even 2, I'd be okay with. 2 to 3 hives, I'd be okay because it's pretty easy to make a split if I feel I need to. Well, this queen might be getting old. Instead of making a queen, or you know, if we just do a split, they'll make a queen automatically, emergency cell, and you got yourself a new queen. You don't have to take those little larvae out and put them in a queen cell and put it on a bar, and you know, yeah. So I'll probably just replace maybe 1 or 2 queens a year just by doing a split, probably. And then when we catch a swarm, we never know what we're getting. It's kind of like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That queen could be 3, 4 years old when we catch that swarm. You never know. And so, yeah, I don't trust a swarm queen about the age of it. My preference is to keep uh, 1 or 2 year old queens. Um, so there you go. It's feeding season. So we're pushing the middle of July here, 2026, and say today is, I think, the 9th. Today is the 9th of July, and so it's getting really hot. So another important thing for us backyard beekeepers. Oh, there's a big wasp. That's a hornet. So another big thing to do is to make sure we keep a watering place close by the bees. So they can just come right out. They're already really hot, you know, come right out, get some water, go in, and they'll use that water to vaporize it and then fan and help cool the hive and keep that temperature down. Now I've got shelters above all of my hives to help reduce that heat. And I also have a bottom screen board with a screen in the back, so I've got an entrance in the front, and then I've got a long gap with a screen in the back of each hive that allows airflow. Right? Yeah. So in the real thick hive, heavy hives, loaded with lots of bees, I see quite a bit of fanning, even with the screen board and all that. But with the smaller hives, I generally, on hot days like today, it's hot. I generally don't see hardly any fanning because of the bottom screen board. You got that air gap down there. Then there's on the back, you've got that there's a big long strip, and the air gap. So you got an air gap that's the whole width of the hive in the back with the screen there, so bees can't get in or other bugs can't get in and stuff. And so you got that draft going straight through. On all 5 hives. I designed a screen for all 5 of them, built them for that purpose. And if it gets really hot, the hives over here, I put slider wood, so I can slide out 1 or 2 strips of wood. After taking out my observational panel, just slide 1 or 2 strategic ones out, and then slide my panel back in if I want. And that can maybe allow a little bit more air. Or I can just leave my observational panel out and just allow that airflow, and the mites will just drop down to the ground. Right? Yeah, that observational panel, when we get it designed right, it gives us a lot of options to help keep a healthier hive. And when bees become disturbed in a hive, agitated from too much heat, they become more aggressive over time, and yeah, I ended up having to take out that hive. It becomes cyclical on itself. It reciprocates on, so they get more aggressive and more aggressive and more aggressive, and yeah, you can end up with a bad hive, right? One that just wants to sting everything. I'm so angry. I would kick the dog, the cat, whatever. And so there you go. That's my day. So, I mean, I tried it. There was I found this recipe online for capturing wasps, and so I made the exact recipe, just like it said. Apple cider, yeah, the whole thing, just like it said. Not one wasp went in that trap. So the next day I went and bought wasp traps. Yeah, maybe I got a hold of some bad apple cider or something bad. or something. I don't know. Not one wasp in there, but I got a lot of wasps being trapped in the ones I got at the store yesterday. Yeah, a lot of wasps were going into those. And so the hive that I caught first week of April, the dying has mostly stopped, and so I decided to go ahead and feed them because my instincts are telling me that that hive is dwindling way down. There were so many thousands that were just coming out, dying or killing. They're still kind of killing each other inside, kind of dwindling, trying to keep downsize the hive, probably because of lack of food, maybe too many bees and not enough food, not enough foragers going out and bringing it in. So I decided to go ahead and give them also 1-to-1 sugar syrup, actually to try to keep them alive, because I created a bunch of lazy bones, not enough foragers. They're waiting around for me to feed them, and that's one of the dangers of feeding bees. Is we can take away their natural instincts to forage because they're just going to sit there and wait for the food to come to them like a welfare check, right? And that's what happened, I think, with that hive. So I'm going to be fairly conservative with feeding them. I'm going to give them I'll feed them a couple of jars, and then I'll give them a week break. Let them dry out the sugar syrup honey that they've made a little bit, and watch their activity. And yeah, when they're just hanging around on the board all day long, after I've been feeding them for a while, they're waiting for me to feed them. They're not out foraging. That's what I've noticed anyway. And so, all right. Please subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, leave a comment, click the like, and everything be fine around here. Just buzzing along. All right. Good day.